Numbers don't matter in music, and here's why. I've been seeing an increase in fans, mostly stans, using numbers as a determination to why one artist is better than another, especially when it has to do with streams. However, I have to say I disagree. I truly believe that in an artistic career path like music, numbers reflect less on quality and more of marketability. Trust me, I do understand that numbers are an important way to measure the impact, cultural significance, and overall success of music, but I have to say people focus far too much on numbers. And I think the perfect way to convey my point is with Beyoncé. Love her or hate her, you can't deny she is one of, if not the greatest artist to ever grab a mic. Not recently, Billboard made this list ranking the top 25 greatest artists of the 21st century. Despite them placing Ariana Grande at number 9, I agree with most of their decisions, but people Taylor Swift fans don't. In fact, they think Taylor should be at number 1 instead of number 2, and they use the rebuttal that Taylor was more streams, has more sales, and has bigger numbers. I think that isn't true. Yes, Taylor is, according to the numbers, the biggest artist of the 21st century, but numbers don't mean the best. Beyoncé has never had numbers, and that's at least by my thought, because Beyoncé doesn't make mainstream lovable music, nor does she support parasocial relationships with her fans. But how does that relate to the topic of the video? Well, I am trying to say that numbers show popularity and a lot of the times what's safe and unproblematic to the mainstream. They also show the intensity of fandoms. I'm going to use Taylor as an example again, but note that I don't hate her. She is actually in my top 10 favorite artists. Nevertheless, what I'm saying is, Taylor is popular, really popular, and I think a part of the reason why is because she makes safe pop music, has a parasocial relationship with her fans, and is a master marketer. To explain to you, when I say safe music, I mean she doesn't leave the area of pop, but yes, I know folklore and evermore exist, and yes, dyes are different. However, there are just 2 albums out of 12, and those 2 were extremely needed due to people complaining that she doesn't do anything outside of pop. But mostly her music is pop, it is safe and it is good. These are the perfect songs to make massive waves on the charts, streaming, and such. To oppose this, people who dramatically reinvent themselves typically don't do this massive chart breaks. For example, Miley Cyrus got her biggest song and album from her safest album, Endless Summer Vacation, but when she did something less safe, more out of pocket and honestly way better than her previous album, it didn't go number 1, it didn't produce any major hit, and it didn't really make a presence in the public's conscience. This is all despite her being a main pop girl. However, this reason doesn't relate to why an artist like Beyoncé who makes masterpieces doesn't get massive streams or sales. So my second reason why Taylor is so big is streaming was because of her relationship with her fans. They really do see her as a big older sister, they are obsessed with her and as such will do anything in their power to make damn sure she gets massive streams and tops the charts. However, someone like a Beyoncé really doesn't have those types of fans because A, she doesn't interact with them if not to announce something, B, she doesn't strive for a relatable brand, she strives for an inspirational brand. A brand that everyone wants but nobody can't even come near to. This is different from someone like Taylor, Ariana or Olivia who strive for relatability and connection. So what I'm saying is artists that don't make popular music or don't have strong random won't really get massive numbers even though they make superior music. And now it's time for my third reason why artists like Taylor get massive numbers, but other artists won't: marketing. Let's not lie. Taylor is a queen at marketing. She knows exactly how to promote her music to the public and how to get her fans to buy her albums. One great example is how she and other artists release multiple variants of their albums despite the only difference being the cover. She knows her fans have an extreme parasocial relationship and will most likely buy anything she sells as long as she sprinkles some differences. She is not the only artist that does this, but the most that do it are artists with massive numbers like Taylor, Ariana, Billie, Sabrina, and more. Another thing is that a lot of some artists either don't have the capability to massively market themselves, but also because some artists e.g. Beyoncé and Miley don't really market. For example, Beyoncé just surprised me release all her albums ever since 2015, and yes, they all cause massive fanfare and communication because Beyoncé is Beyoncé, but this has a disadvantage. This disadvantage is surprise releases don't get the opportunity to get massive numbers. A good example is how despite Swag being Justin Bieber's comeback album, it didn't produce a #1 album. This is because it was surprise release, so copies weren't made at the time of release and it didn't have any marketing to precede the album's release. So this is the conclusion to my entire point: numbers don't reflect quality, especially when you realize that most popular music is heavily marketed and safe and comes from artists with huge fandoms. But also because a lot of artists make massively great music, but for one reason or another, don't get the popularity their songs deserve. But that is just my opinion, so I'd love to see your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree, or think I missed something.